Welcome to the Biz Gone Social podcast. We help entrepreneurs navigate how to get known, get customers, and get the edge over their competition. Here is your host, Lorraine Duncan.
So here we are on the Biz Gone Social podcast, and I am so glad to be here. And my promise to you, as always, is I want to give you a little bit of verbal caffeine that's going to energize your business and ultimately help you stay social. Because after all, don't you want to be the business everyone's talking about? I know I do. And welcome, John Gies. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Tell me a little bit about what you do.
So I do a lot of things, but really there's a day that most business owners wake up and they realize that they're self-employed. They're making money, but their employees have more time, often more money. Their family thinks that they're married to the job and not to them, the family. And they're spending all this damn money on marketing and advertising, and they don't know what they're getting. I help them to create new clients, new revenue, and profits so that they can begin to scale their business and have a business, not a very complex job.
That's awesome. And how long have you been doing this for?
So I left the corporate world back in 2013, and I did a bit of executive coaching and international sales training and coaching. But I opened up RAS-Squared in 2018. So what is that? 5 years now?
Yes. No, it's 10 years ago.
Well, 10 years ago, I left the corporate world, but the difference between executive coaching and business coaching is a little bit different. They all blend together. I bring, when you hire me, you get all of me, right?
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about you. You have a unique name. Tell me where you came up with it and how you came up with it.
So RAS-Squared is revenue acceleration systems squared by the power of your reticular activating system. That's a small part of your brain that's like the guided missile system. So when you set your sight on a goal, then the RAS continues to point you towards that goal. It's kind of like when you decide you're going to buy a white Lexus. All of a sudden, everybody's got a white Lexus. Or my wife likes the Tesla, so she sees Teslas every day. But it's that part of your brain that keeps pulling you back to what you want. And when you combine that with proven, demonstrated systems, you can create powerful results.
Wow. There's a lot of people out there, you kind of said it in your beginning little intro, just that, there's a lot of people out there that have a business and they don't know what to do. And that's tough, and it's like, so what do you think is actually the most important thing when you start a business that a business owner should be doing?
I keep saying this. I'm going to have to do it. I need to take a picture of a box of Depends and put it in the background for my videos because it kind of depends. But there are a couple of things. One, I think you have to have a really clear reason why you want to be in business. If you're starting your business just because you can't get along with other people and you don't want to work for somebody else, I'm not sure it's the best view. But really, if you think about it, you have to have your market dominating position. So what is that? You might know it as a USP, a unique selling proposition. You might know it as your strategic plan, but you need to find a way to differentiate yourself from everybody else and have your operating system built all around that. So I'm going to use pizza as an example. There are 75,000 pizza parlors in the United States. Most of them are owned by Domino's, because Domino's came out early in the 60s with a market dominating position. It's going to be hot. It's going to be fresh. You can't come in and take it out. You can't come in and sit down. And so they built their whole production line, all of their marketing around hot, fast, and fresh. And they dominate the pizza world. Behind them is Papa Murphy's, arguably hotter and fresher because it's fresh toppings and it comes out of your own oven or your own oven. And then there's California Pizza Kitchen, which is gourmet, and they want you to come in and sit down and have a glass of wine. All three of those companies are clearly very different, but they're making hundreds of millions and billions of dollars because they occupy a very unique position in the mind of their buyer. Now let's think about it. Pizza's a commodity. It's dough, it's cheese, it's sauce, and a topping. If they can differentiate pizza, you can differentiate whatever business you're in. And differentiation, you can either be the best, really hard to be. You can be first. There's only one of those. Or you can be different. So how are you going to be different? And I like what my friend Max says. How can you be distinct? How can you be in a class all your own? Did that help?
So, you talk about this differentiation. Why, like, how do I become different? How does one become different? From what would be the process of becoming different?
Great question. So if you think about it, I'm going to use an auto shop as an example. So there's all auto shops. They repair cars, and almost all of them will tell you that they have integrity, that they're honest, that they're the best, etc. But your customer hears is blah, 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 because everybody says that. But then there's the one auto shop that says, I hear my customers complain a lot about the time they spend waiting for their car to get started. So they made a guarantee that if you show up at 8:00, we'll start your car within 15 minutes. Now, they built an operating system around that so that they could do that. They had extra bays. But you think about the problem that your client has, and it's not necessarily I need my house painted, my car fixed, or a life insurance policy. It's how do I know you're not going to that you're going to show up on time? How do I know you're not going to leave a mess? How do I know you're going to return my phone calls? How do I know you're not a Bernie Madoff? When you answer that question, as opposed that and address that problem as opposed to let me sell you my stuff, as consumers, we're trying to avoid being sold, but we're always looking for problems. We're trying to solve our problems. So when you present a problem and you can articulate that better than your customer can, they know you have the solution. And it's built around convenience. It's built around expertise. It's built around timing, education around how to use your product. It's typically your client has a concern about working with a social media consultant or a business coach. So how do you address that problem in such a way that they go, you're talking to me?
Yeah. And, it's funny because, over the years, because, when you're in business, you talk about a lot about that solution that you're going to solve. And, as a business owner, for instance, I know when I've just, in that moment, I know when the customer gets me, and you just know it, that you know that they completely trust you.
Yep.
And that's really a good feeling in a sense for, somebody who's in business for themselves. But it's also, then you have to put the pedal to the metal and you have to make sure that you really do solve that problem, because then you're not going to have a very happy customer.
Yes.
So,
I would add the thing that most business owners miss, and it's probably because the way we were taught about business is we rarely, the direct consumer market is better at this, but if you're in a B2B position, we forget to bring emotion into this. Decisions are made emotionally. We'll justify it with the spreadsheets and the logic and all the rest of that stuff. I took extra logic in college. Ask me how that worked out for me. But it's really all about the emotions. And when you can tap the emotions and it's a visceral feeling, you've got them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to switch gears a little bit here, and just because we could talk about this probably forever. But, a lot of people who own their own businesses, they feel that, if they just build a website, people are going to come to it. It's kind of like that. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Field of Dreams. If they build it, they will come, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know where people got that from, but you have to spend some time marketing. And so I like to have, you have like a little formula, and I like to have a little formula with that too, is like, how much marketing should somebody do in their business? And like for me right now, I do about like 50-60% right now. In the beginning, I was doing like 80%. So what are some of your strategies along with marketing, and what is a good marketing strategy?
Well, first let's define marketing. So marketing is often confused with the promotional aspect of marketing. When most people talk about marketing, they're talking about advertising, social media posts, all the things that say, look at me, look at me. That's a part of marketing. But if you're in business, you have, and to your point, when you start out, you have to spend most of your time building your business, and that's attracting customers. And it can be through networking events. It could be through social media posts. It could be through advertising, although before you advertise, I double check and make sure your message is really targeted. Most people just throw money at it and say, yay, I'm marketing. And typically they're influenced by the last salesperson or the most attractive salesperson that called on them with their, here's my marketing tactic that will save your life. And really, to your point, it has to be more strategic. So the really first step is, who is your target audience? And when you say everybody, you're really saying nobody. So there's an age bracket that you like working with the best. There's an income level. There's a mindset. Who are they? And then where are they? Are they on TikTok? Are they on Facebook? If you're in my generation, you might still be on Facebook or LinkedIn. But where they hang out? I mean, I live in a community where there are about 5,000 homes that are in the $800 to $1 million range. And every year about this time, the trailers come in to haul away all the remodeling because they were built back in the 80s. If I'm a painter, roofer, real estate agent, it costs me $50 a month to advertise in that newsletter. That's a way better investment than going out and spending hundreds of dollars trying to find your tribe somewhere else, until you've proven that the message works and that you're attracting customers. So I feel like I veered a little bit from our conversation there.
No, that's good. Because I mean, you started with number one being target market. So what are some so once you define your target market, what's next?
Well, it's where are they? And really, what's your message? So again, remember we went back and talked about the problem. So I use what's called the conversion equation. And it's the headline, whether it's picking up the phone, it's the first thing you say, whether it's standing up in a networking event, or it's your social media or advertising post. It's here's the problem that you have. And here's the solution that I promise. Now your customer is going, well, okay, I want to look at that. Then you get a chance to educate the consumer. And that's, most of it's called the selling process, and it can be telling about your company. It can be educating them about challenges in the industry. But now they're beginning to say, all right, now I can trust you because you're not really just saying, buy my stuff. And then you get to make an offer. So it's problem, solution, education, and then offer. And when you follow that equation and you've done your homework and you're addressing their problem, it's remarkable the difference. Like, I spend a lot of time networking. I'm a public speaker. And when I have the right elevator pitch, I can hear the audience go, ooh. And when I hear, ooh, I know I've got a catchy phrase. I know that's a phrase that I want to use again and again.
Yeah. You said something that just got me thinking a little bit is that, and now I'm thinking too hard now here, but, you do a lot of networking, so, and then you said something else. You said tactics. A lot of people use tactics, but they really don't have like a marketing plan. And I think I've seen this over and over again. It's the
90% of what's out there is a tactic.
Yeah. And I'm trying, and I think the key, is this messaging. And, there's other keys too, but I do know that I'm working with a client right now and it's really hard to, what I do, for instance, I do social media marketing. It's really hard to market for someone that doesn't have a clear message. And I learned that long time ago. So a lot of times I've actually turned down clients and told them, work with a business coach, work with somebody that can help you with your messaging. And that would be like the best thing that you can do. And then come to me.
Yes.
And then I just got somebody recently that just gave me they're using Chat GPT.
Oh, yeah.
They gave me a whole thing. Like, their messaging is so very clear now. And it's like I was able to get like 30 posts from one little question. It was like crazy. So yeah, and the other thing is a lot of people, the tactics thing may work for some people, but it may not work for other people. Well, and that's what scares me most about, like, we could all say this. There's no silver bullet out there. There's none. You have to work hard. If anybody tells me, well, how did I get to where I got today? It's like, I just say, I worked hard. I wish I could have that Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week. Me. I am working for that. That is my goal in life.
Tim Ferriss, if you go back, made his money being an early investor in a couple of really fun tech startups. And he's a hell of an interviewer. He has a great podcast. Yeah,
and so does this guy, I think it's not Ryan Dice. He was the baseball player, and I can't even think of his name now. He has like it's called The Great something, and he gets really great podcast people to interview.
That Lewis Howell?
What? Yes.
Lewis Howell? Yeah.
Yeah, and his gimmick in the beginning, well, I mean, he had a lot of, I don't want to call them gimmicks. I should behave myself. One of the things that he did when LinkedIn wasn't popular at all, he did this LinkedIn course. And I was just getting into social media, and because he was a baseball player, and I like sports and I like baseball. I said, oh, I'm going to buy his stuff. So I bought his stuff, and it was a course, and it was okay, and I did learn a lot about LinkedIn at that point, but he taught a tactic that actually got me in trouble. I ended up in LinkedIn jail for like 3 days, and it was very crucial. Because I couldn't get into my LinkedIn, my dashboard. And what happened was I actually had some appointments that, were warm prospects. And basically what I did is I used his tactic, but somehow I broke into the LinkedIn algorithm. It was hysterical. And I actually keyworded a little bit too. I overboarded with my keywording, and LinkedIn got very mad at me.
Well, you know this better than I do. That's one of the things that is part of a good strategy, is having someone that's an expert in LinkedIn, Google, whatever it is, because they're always changing. The algorithm, like I have a client, she's built her entire business. She's got 5 cleaning crews out every day, and she's built it all on the back of Facebook. She doesn't have a web page. And every time I get a chance to talk to her, I say, get all of those people's email addresses or a phone number, because Facebook could shut you down tomorrow just because you looked cross-eyed or something. And having all of your data in a platform that somebody else owns is dangerous.
Totally agree with that. And that's really important to know. For everyone listen to that, is to have a backup. I like to also, like, to my clients, and actually the people when I'm talking, I share that, not only have a backup, but also make sure you have a way of collecting names on Facebook. In the early days of Facebook, and I think they also changed it for the worse, Facebook, because in the beginning they had a business page where they had like little squares underneath the big profile picture. And literally you could have your freebie there, and it was just right. Everything was there. It was better than a website, and it converted a lot better than a website. Now the business pages don't convert as well as they used to. Very sad. So sometimes change isn't always good.
No. I mean, so I just had an example recently, but it slipped my mind. I had a car. It was a 2003 Nissan Maxima. Beautiful car. Cost me $800 to change the headlamp because they had to take the bumper off. It was so engineered that you had to take the bumper off to change the headlight. Well, a lot of our technology, they keep engineering because the software people need them to keep making money, so they have to keep coming up with ideas. And if you keep iterating, you have to keep advancing and updates and updates and updates, and things change. And we can sometimes over-engineer our solution. But that's a rant. That's not the topic of our conversation.
Yeah, I can go on and on for that. Like every year a car comes out because I know somebody who's a mechanic and they have to buy new tools. So
Yep.
it even makes it crazy for them, so it's like it's a never ending thing. Yeah, you're right. So there's a lot of people that are listening to this that, I put them into three buckets. There's people that are like startups. There's also people I know that have been in business for a long, long time. And then there are those who are in corporate and they just want to do something different. And kind of like a lot of these people did make that shift during like the pandemic, for instance.
Yep.
And so if there was one piece of advice that you could give each of these groups, what would it be?
Remember, I've got a big box of depends behind me here. Because it really does depend. But for the startup, I would say focus really hard on understanding who your customer is. Focus really hard on getting to know your customer and their unique needs and wants, so you can get very specific in your messaging. And that really means making sales calls. Really, people that talk about the voice of the customer actually have to talk to a customer. You have to get in front of a customer. Back in the day, we called it belly to belly. I'm not sure I want to get belly to belly, but you need to be looking at your customer and really understanding them. For those mid-sized folks, release a little bit of control. Start finding people you can delegate to so that you're not doing everything. Because if you are the central linchpin to your organization and the organization can't run without you, you've just got a really complex job. And typically you're going to burn out. And for those people that are in corporate that are thinking about breaking away or jailbreaking, take your time. Do your homework. If you can make it a side hustle for a bit and test the market, see what works, see what doesn't, that's in the early stages, that's way more safe and advantageous. You don't take a financial hit perhaps when you leave. A lot of people burn their bridges and then the bridges are gone. Burn the ships, don't burn the bridges. But take your time. And again, who's your market? What do they respond to? You know this better than I do, the whole A/B testing. It's interesting. When I have people do A/B testing, it's always a little bit of a surprise. Very often what we intuitively thought was what's going to drive the message is not. It's the one that we said, though, that's not going to work. So really take your time to understand what works.
Yeah, that last one was really good, because a lot of people, when they're business owners, for instance, they think what that, the client wants, because they base it on themselves. When in fact, what they really have to do is really listen to what the client is saying and what the client needs. So it's just kind of interesting. The A/B split, I just have a quick story that I think will tie in really right with this. I had a client who's a very beautiful woman, and she wanted to use her picture in the ad. And, so there's two things when you're doing any kind of ad, is you're testing picture and you're also testing copy. And so what do you switch first? Is it picture or is it copy? Now the copy looked pretty good and the messaging was pretty good on it. So I figured, well, maybe it's the picture. So I went that first. I lucked out because it was the picture, because it was a business coach, for instance, and literally it was just too casual of a picture. It was a nice picture of her, but it was just too casual. But once I moved to the woman with a business suit on and it was a stock photo, and it actually did so good. So you just learn little things, and sometimes you can't figure it out. Sometimes it's like, why isn't this ad performing as good as others? You just, it's even like when an organic post, sometimes you see like, oh my gosh, it's like, why did this do so good?
Right.
It's just, and I honestly think sometimes it's because Facebook just decided they were going to be kind and show it more. I swear. Because it was just random. The post was just so random. Anyways, maybe because it was random. But yeah, no, this has been really fun. This has been really good. You have a lot of things to share. We probably could talk all day. I would love to, but you know, we all get up every day. You're a business owner. I'm a business owner. You know, why do you like being in business? I mean, you could work for someone and not have all the headaches of.
Oh, yeah. How many times have you, so let's be honest, how many times have you as an owner said, this is more work than the job I had without the benefits?
Absolutely, yes.
So at this stage, there are a couple of reasons. So I used to work in a world where the deals were $1 million deals, and $500,000 deals, and we would save our customers tens of millions of dollars. And oftentimes they'd say, you know, I'm too busy to chase $10 million. I had one guy say that's a rounding error. They're driven by safety. They're driven by saving their job. They're not in it to win it often. They are cogs in a wheel. And please don't take this wrong, people that are in business. I know that a lot of you are there because you love it. But there are also many there that just want to wait till they can retire. But when you show a small business owner $50 sitting on the ground, they're going to bend over to pick it up. And so I love the vibrancy of the small business community. We learned in the pandemic that Wall Street doesn't care. They want returns. We learned that the government can be sometimes not be the most effective at relief and support and all that. But when we have small business owners in our community that are thriving, our communities thrive. And so I'm on a mission to help my clients create $100 million on Main Street between now and the year 2030. Because I know that when small business owners are thriving in our communities, so too are we.
That's awesome. That's a great mission. So there's probably a lot of people who resonated with you today. I know I did. How would they get in touch with you? And do you have something to offer or something that they can have a initial, meeting with you or something like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you go to my website, RAS-Squared.com, you can download a free copy of my book. I'm actually launching a group right now for small business owners. It's 90 days to fast cash. So in 90 days, you will identify ways to turn your existing business and generate cash quickly. And my guarantee is if you don't get out of this at least twice the value you put into it, I'll give you your money back. Because, again, my goal is to help small business owners thrive and grow. And so you'll find me on LinkedIn. You'll find me on Facebook. I'll be on Instagram. I haven't quite got there yet. No, I will not be on TikTok, but you can find me on LinkedIn is probably the best place to get a hold of me.
Best place to be. Well, thank you again, John. And to everyone out there, have a really good week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Biz Gone Social podcast. Find us on Instagram at Biz Gone Social for extra tips. Check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, stay social.